Sometimes we're so stuck in our own mess that we forget that the world is not revolving just around us. Welcome to the mess.
On the surface she looks fine, but what's inside ain't always in line. Life is good, life is bad. She's a mess, but a happy one.
Hi, I'm Little Happiness and welcome to my podcast. Story time. Hello, welcome back to a new episode of The Mess. I'm Nina, your host, and today I want to talk about egocentricity and how it's connected to suffering. Why? Because the two are interconnected very well. I'll get to my point in a second, or not really a second, it's gonna take a few minutes. I would love at this point if you subscribe to this channel, if you've watched a few videos. I'd love you to download this episode if you're on Spotify and if you're on iTunes. If you give me a review, a 5-star review if you liked it, and I'd really appreciate your collaboration here. And yes, I just wanted to mention that right at the beginning. So let's dive right into. Okay, so how do I get to this egocentricity suffering? Why? Because I'm suffering a little right now. I'm loving now, but yesterday it wasn't funny. I was actually supposed to record this episode yesterday, but maybe you hear it from my voice. I have corona. I think it's already gone now. It's the fourth. No, it's the fourth day of quarantine, and tomorrow is the last day I'm quarantined, and then I'm allowed to go back into the world. So I'm suffering a little physically. I actually had I had a fever, and I was shivering all the time, and my whole body hurt. So for 2 days it was actually like physically very, it was bad and exhausting. And then I recovered from that a little, and then the whole I'm being locked up at home, and the whole, coping with all that mentally started to kick in a little more, because I was spending a lot of time with myself. I had a lot of time. I still have a lot of time. And yeah, it was interesting where this took me. So what happened was that, for example, yesterday, my thoughts just took over. I was at home and I was just trying to read a book or just relax a little bit, because I wasn't really feeling like doing a podcast episode, for example, or being productive in any kind of way, because I was feeling a little down mentally, and my body was still hasn't recovered fully. So I was like, I'm gonna take this time for a little self-care. And then my brain up there was like, how about I tell you all the things you should be doing, but that you're not doing, and that you're not good enough, and that you are a lazy piece of shit, and that you actually don't even deserve to be here right now. And I was like, nice. That's exactly the kind of self-care that I was planning out for today. So I spent the day thinking a lot. My mind threw problem after problem after problem at me. How you're gonna solve that? How you're gonna solve that? You're not doing that. You should be doing that. And here you could do that. And you haven't cleaned either. You're not doing anything. You should be doing something. You should be productive. But then also throwing, all my failures at me, all the mistakes I made. I think we all know that, and sometimes it's easier to get out, especially when we can distract ourselves a little, and other times it's just harder to get out. And I was talking to people on the phone, but still, I was still feeling it a little, and it was kind of hard coping with it. And towards the end of the day, I did always get out a little and then jump back into, got out a little and then jump back into, right into the mess. And towards the end of the day, I was writing a letter. I was actually writing a letter to God because I was really pissed at God. Because I didn't understand why I was suffering, why was this happening? I didn't see the point, because I didn't do anything wrong. That's how I perceived the situation, and I was really angry and sad and frustrated, and yeah, it was really, 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 really hard being stuck in all that mess and all those thoughts and all that negativity and all the mistakes and all the things I'm not good at, all my mistakes and everything. I was just like really being sucked into all that, to that shithole of bad thoughts. Wisdom. So, as you have heard from that story time, I was joining my own pity party yesterday. I was pitying myself a lot, and I'm not really saying that that is wrong. I'm just saying that it doesn't get me anywhere, and it doesn't get anyone out there anywhere if we just sit there and pity ourselves for hours and hours and hours. But I kind of didn't find a way out of it, which is why I wrote the letter to God. And towards the end of the letter, after I was finished complaining and about my misery, I wrote, "Please send me guidance." And I was including that in my prayers too. Every morning when I meditate, I do a little bit of praying too. And I think I didn't even meditate on that day in the morning because my morning started really weirdly. Anyway, I included it for the last 2 or 3 days because I was already feeling that I'm not too good at the moment. There's some change coming and I'm just not coping well. So so towards the end I wrote, can you send me guidance? And then I was going in my journal, I was going like 1 or 2 pages back, I think, and then I saw it. I saw the answer to all of my questions. So I saw a text, and I always name, when I write texts, I always name them. And I didn't even think about it. I read the text and I was like, oh, you're a little egocentric. So I named the text Egocentricity, and all of a sudden I was like, that's the point. That's the point. I'm being super egocentric. I'm thinking the whole world is revolving around me and around all my problems, which it really isn't. And when I keep thinking about all those problems, when I stay in my head and I keep trying to solve all of those problems, and suddenly everything is a problem, then I won't feel any better. It will only get worse because it's not the solution. Because what's the problem in the whole situation that I had was that I was suffering, and that I hated the suffering, and that it felt bad and all of that. But like my brain felt so clouded with all those thoughts, and suddenly there was a little bit of clearance. I suddenly realized that I was very consumed with my own anxieties and my problems and all the troubles in my life, all the things that I don't like about myself, but everything just dealt with myself. I have been very self-absorbed, very self-centered for a few weeks already, because every time we feel bad, or not every time. I don't wanna make generalizations here. Every time I feel bad, and if you feel like that too, then maybe you can take something out of what I'm trying to say. Then I don't really think of other people anymore. I don't really think about the world anymore. I don't really think about my purpose anymore, or what I perceive as my purpose. All I think about is my misery and how to solve it. And I have made the experience that when I'm in this misery, and I'm not saying that when you actually have a problem and then you're like, okay, I will try to solve it in that way. When you're like, okay, I have a problem and I want to see my therapist about it, we talk about it and then we can solve it, or we can try to find a way to solve it, or it might take a little bit longer, but you come up with whatever strategy that is trying to solve the problem that you're currently facing. But when you're just in your head and you're just overthinking everything, you're just thinking and thinking and thinking, and then you're coming to the next problem, and then you figure out a solution, but then you find the problem in the solution, and suddenly you're like 10 years in the future, and you're like, oh, and even there, I probably won't have figured out all my problem, blah, blah, blah. All those thought processes that are not resolving the problem, that are just making it worse and worse and worse. Not solution-based thinking, but just thinking, like just bullshit FM, blah, 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 just bullshit talk up there that's not helping you or anyone else. I'm talking about those kind of situations, which was the situation I was facing yesterday. And when you're in those situations, you are very self-absorbed. You're just thinking, you're thinking in a circle, and it's the circle you're drawing around you and around all the things you're not good at and around all your problems and around all your fears and everything. And you're not thinking about other people anymore. And I made the experience that when I want to interrupt this process, and I do that, when making a compliment to a friend, for example, I already feel a little better. And what really helped me one time was when I was able to grant another friend a really grand favor that was not much work for me, but meant the world to him. So that really lifted me up too. And after I had my realization moment yesterday, I was thinking about all that, and I was like, hey, that's exactly what Jordan Peterson said. We watched Jordan Peterson 2 weeks ago in Slovenia. It was amazing. He's such an inspiring human and brilliant. It's just amazing to watch him. That we turn egocentric when we're in fear, when we're desperate, when we're depressed, and in order to get out of suffering, we need to move back towards serving people, towards serving humanity. And with serving, I don't mean like sacrificing, but moving back into a giving nature where we try to give the world our best. We try to do things for excellence and to strive for excellence rather than for power or recognition or whatsoever. We just try to be really good humans and try to treat our environment well. Because then we move a little away from ourselves and our own misery, and can move back towards solution-based thinking. When I get myself out of that spiral and do something nice for someone else, then I'm back into a mode where I'm able to act again, where I'm not in this freeze mode, just thinking about everything and just being in fear and absolutely hating myself. I move out of that, and I stop taking myself so important. I think that was incorrect, but you know what I mean. Like, I stopped pretending like I'm the most important person in this universe and my problems are so important, because they are not, and I mean that in a good way. You're or I'm just another human, and I, just like every other human, I have problems, and just like every other human, I'm sometimes very stuck in my head. And just like every other human, when I'm really stuck in my head, I need to go back and interact with other humans again. And then I can find a solution to my problems. Because most of the times, the solution is really to stop being in this thought process, because you're like, why did I even think about that for so long? Like, I'm okay. Sometimes you don't feel like it, and then there is something else that you have to do. But so many things just resolve by moving out of this thought cloud chaos. And that's the message that I tried to give away today. That when you're caught up in your thoughts and you're really caught in your suffering and you don't know a way out, then maybe the way is to move back into giving to this world, into giving something away that that you don't need, so that doesn't put you in a position where you're not feeling good anymore. So I'm not talking about sacrificing again, but I'm talking about giving, and maybe that will make you feel better, because it really did make me feel better, and I was able to realize that I haven't been treating my environment the way I want to treat my environment. I haven't been treating people the way I want to treat people, because I was so concerned about myself and how I was doing and about my projects and my world, that I completely forgot that I don't exist alone in this world. I don't exist alone in my life, and that really helped me to move out again. And I hope that this is something that could help you too, and that this is something that resonates with you too. And I hope that I brought the point across, because again, it was a little difficult. Further material. So, I don't have a further material for today, because I'm still reading The Witcher, and it's very interesting, but I guess it's not really something that could help when feeling very egocentric. And I still haven't started reading The Hero's Journey, like I said, but I hope I will when this episode is posted. It's the further material I mentioned last time, for everyone who didn't watch that episode. So I guess I have to leave you with no further material today, because I don't have any suggestions. I'm a little empty right now. I'm sorry. I hope you can forgive me that. I wish you a great weekend. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was a little chaotic, but I think I'll stop saying sorry for that all the time, because so many episodes have been chaotic, and it's just me, I'm really trying, but I'm order and chaos at the same time. And you got a lot of chaos lately. But that's the real me, and stopping to apologize. If you liked that episode, I would love you to subscribe, to leave me a comment, to visit me on Instagram, to visit me on Facebook. I'm Little Happy Mess everywhere. Yes, I hope you let me know if you have any topic suggestions. And above all, I hope this podcast episode finds you very well. I hope that you're doing good, and that if you're not doing good, that you have someone to turn to, that you will feel good or will feel better very soon. And I'm sending you all the energy, all the love in this world. You got this, we got this, and life's a journey, and it's okay to learn every day. That was a rhyme. Goodbye.